My name is Cairo Muhoya. I'm one of the co-founders of Finger Africa.
Hi, I'm Adeola Ali. I'm the CEO and founder of One Health.
I'm Russell Lack. I'm the CEO of SwiftBee.
My name is Sam Imende. I'm doing residential real estate under Imende Real Estate Group.
My name is Spencer Horn. I'm the founder and CEO of Cloudline.
So I started off trying to solve my own problem, which was trying to get my son's medication. So I came from the very B2C angle of how can an individual find their drug. Over time, I realized that that might not be the best entry to market in terms of like market sizing. And this was pre-COVID, so adoption of an online model of people buying drugs online, there was a little bit of skepticism around that. But COVID happened and that changed everyone's mindset. So a lot of the telemedicine, teleofferings required, digitization. And if you get consultation online, you don't want to leave your house to then buy the drugs. So that's where we came in.
We work in financial services, which is a highly regulated field, meaning that not anyone can just launch financial products. You need certain regulatory approvals and in some cases licenses. Whilst looking to launch our digital bank, we explored many alternatives such as buying our own license, applying for our own license, but ultimately settled to partner with a large bank which has a license. And the reason for that was cost and speed. We were a small, agile team, but we had very minimal resources and we needed to be effective with the resources that we had.
So right now in real estate, it's an exciting place to be in Nairobi. There's a massive shortage of housing across mainly middle class and affordable housing. I'm working with both architects, marketing and sales agencies to provide more higher standards of housing across middle income and affordable income areas in Nairobi.
When we started with Cloudline, we set out with a very clear mission to address the logistics gap in rural Africa. More than 1 billion people worldwide still live without access to roads today, and a very large number of those people are here on the African continent. We set out to develop these autonomous airships to bring an unprecedented level of payload into areas without the kind of infrastructure that those places could necessarily afford. And that meant operating the full stack from developing the aircraft all the way through to delivery.
The way we make money is by ensuring that it's impactful, which is access to drugs. So our key metrics for us is number of items delivered, on time in full. So on time means we want to ensure that every patient gets their medication on time and in full, that there's no prescription that we do not fulfill for a complete therapeutic effect.
One of the ways we've structured our business model to balance social impact and profitability is by not just disrupting the customer experience, but disrupting the price. Africa is one of the most expensive places to send money. That doesn't need to be the case.
My journey with sustainability goes back to when I was doing my MBA in 2011, and I actually did an internship with B Lab. So B Lab does basically accreditation for social, environmental impact. So that kind of made it part of every other business that I've been in. I've been trying to drive the social and economic and environmental impact. I'm always looking at, can we be EDGE certified? What do we do to protect the environment?
Pricing is one of those things that we always debate. The first time we ever sold a product, my CTO, with our first client, the client asked how much does it cost, and our CTO said charge $1,000. Then I asked our COO and they said charge $2,000. So when I called our client, I said price for the service is $5,000. They said $5,000, is that all? Fantastic, we'll do it for the whole year. And I said we should have charged $20,000. So pricing is very elastic, especially on the African continent. And you have to look at the markets, look at how much value you bring and how much money you're making for the client in order to price your service correctly.
Most Africans don't have disposable income, and per capita income across Africa is the lowest in the world. A mix or balance of cheap or free services with some that are monetized enables us to both serve the user and meet this kind of tricky pricing environment that we're in Africa.
Unfortunately, about 70% of drugs in country are imported. So what that means is because of the naira fluctuations, a lot of prices, it can change within 3 months. So balancing that has been tricky. I mean, what we try to do is leverage some economics of scale by partnering with wholesalers that can drop ship to our network of pharmacies. So that way we get the pricing in bulk and it's a lot cheaper for us. And, make sure that the margins are reasonable. Also in our model, when we route prescriptions through our network of pharmacies, we try to make sure that it's close to the patient so they don't have to pay extra for delivery and things like that.
Our primary customers are effectively enterprise scale users. And so for us, pricing really is about the value equation for those users and our ability to bring out the product into the market. For us, that's really been more tied to the way in which we design and develop, making sure that our hardware can be incredibly competitive and ultimately be clear in value to those users from the get-go.
Affordability especially in real estate, for B2C comes with how you structure the financing for consumers, right? With this economy, we learned from COVID, you do get shocks and you do get job loss and constrained cash flows. So you just have to be really diligent to work with your customers to make sure you can go the full journey with them to buy your real estate.
When we think of the question of affordability and value for our customers versus our own revenue, this really has been something where we've been experimenting with business model to achieve that balance. I think one of the things we've realized more recently is that that's going to be a bespoke solution often for the customer. One example of making it more affordable for users is by selling into a partner operator. And if that partner operator is then able to serve a vast number of sectors and industries, including their existing user base, it becomes more accessible for everybody.
We look at it as a long-term game. Right now, our users are just starting their financial journey. So they're young, they're getting educated, but they don't have much money. We're banking on these people, young people, eventually getting jobs, creating businesses, and ultimately building wealth. So in 10 years' time, that young person who was earning about $100 a month will be earning 1,000, maybe 2,000.
Our entire premise of business is always based on capitalist principles of supply and demand being drivers, and you can never beat the market. So if we price our service based on how much money we are making for our customers. So if we are selling, livestock and it's $500,000 per animal, then we can charge significant fees to large commercial farmers by opening up international markets. If we're doing a smallholder farmers auction and it's very much an impact play, then you have to price yourself accordingly, and you have to be within a percentage of the turnover that makes sense for them to use your service.
One of the ways we've adapted our product to meet the cultural preferences of the African consumer is understanding who they are. The African consumer, for us, is a young person. And young people today are digitally native. That's part of their culture. So we've made everything easy to use and access digitally.
I think everyone wants to probably go online first if they don't have a regular doctor and they're fine. The way they want to interact with us is not necessarily just going online and buying and clicking through and just adding to cart. Because at the end of the day, especially if they're not sure of what they're treating completely, they want to speak to someone. So what we tend to find out is they try to chat with us on WhatsApp and do all of that conversation. So we try to have as many social commerce channels open. So that's how we've been able to embed the way our customers would like to interact. So a bit of that offline, online.
Whether you're dealing with kind of low-income housing or high-end housing, people have families, they want amenities. So one thing I've been looking at is the units that actually do try to provide some common public areas, kid play areas. You don't maybe not have to have a pool, but a gym, breakout areas. Those are the ones that really attract higher occupancy, and you can do well with them.
I would say quickly try to find ways to aggregate fast in terms of like your supply chain. Your supplier power is so important if you have a marketplace.
Best piece of advice I received, and always our guiding principle, is that the market always wins. So whenever you're doing anything, if you're going to price yourself on a loss-making structure to gain market share, that's great in the beginning, but ultimately you have to make a profit. And if people aren't prepared to pay a fee that will sustain your business, then the market doesn't want your service at that price point. Follow the natural drivers of supply and demand, good economic principles, strive for a profit, because no matter what, you can't beat the market, and the market always wins.
Your pricing has to really be a value addition. And with that, you'll get higher customer satisfaction, you'll get a higher kind of repeat customers. And so that's what I really focus on. The value provided to the customer matches the price that they're paying.
Whatever we go with in terms of pricing in a particular area is almost certainly not going to last or be the case on an ongoing basis. So just being open to that level of experimentation.
Last year in 2024, whilst I was experiencing fundraising and operational challenges, I shared some of the challenges with the Harambean I admire a lot, Mr. Shahid, Mina Shahid from Numida. And he was able to give me a framework to think about the problems I'm facing. I thought a lot of the problems were external, things that I could not control. And he helped me focus on the things that I could control. And that led to an outcome that I was very happy about. So thank you, Mina, and shout out to the Harambeans.
Got into doing business panels and podcasts. And when I'm coming up with my panelists for different topics, inevitably I've pulled Harambeans on those panels. So I find Harambeans ready, available, and great to work with.
After a long and hard search, we found a new CFO for our business. And only after bringing him on board did I realize that we were actually then working with a fellow Harambean. So whether we seek it out deliberately or whether we just seek to find great people, the alliance reminds us the caliber of talent that it attracts.
Being a Harambean, to me, means taking action where others will shy from taking action. And the Harambean way means going there together.
Being an Harambean to me, I think, is all about being a part of a community that's aligned with a common goal.
How do you serve the continent? How do you give back? And how do we make it better? How do we have the African that we want for our future, for our kids?
What Harambeans really are is people who are passionate about building the continent, because major change on the continent is not going to come from public sector and governments. It's going to come with entrepreneurs and private sector who are busy finding the solutions for Africa's problems.
It's both carries inspiration, but it also carries a responsibility to pay it forward and to really see what am I doing that makes an impact and stay in that space.